Shah Shemraka Hakwadash. All right. Send double honors out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations also go out to the fellow Akim that are out there on the highways and the byways, still pushing the truth out across four corners of this earth. All right. While we still have time to teach, and at least with the time that's allotted. All right. So this is now I'm out the DC camp once again, back for another video. And as you can see here, I'm going to be going back in between two videos. And let me first start off with this scripture here, because for some, well, we know what the reason is, because the hatred for our people. None of these nations are our friends. Never have been. And I'm bringing this out because, and in light, our camp in particular is on, we're studying the Maccabees now, and, you got this holiday, this holy day that's coming up, So this is Psalms 83:1. The Most High implored to confound his enemies. Keep not thou silence, O Most High, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Most High Yahweh. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. And I'll come back to 6 through 8. All right. You got to wonder, well, especially when they come over here. All right. Everybody is all on board. They agree on everything. But when it comes to our people in particular getting anything for ourselves, oh, no, that's unconstitutional. Join in with, these Edomites, these so-called white people, especially. But they seem to all can come together for the sake of, coming against us. You have to think about when we, books of Nehemiah, and this is nothing new. All right. Anyway, let's go ahead and run this. This is, of course, Professor Black Truth. And I must say, before I get any deeper in this, let me see here. Let's see. Hold on. All right. There we go. All right. There we go. All right, here we go. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. All right, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. All right. So, just to let you know, because I like to use this particular site and others for their information and not to, of course, profit from it. So here we go.
Soldiers, I'm the professor, and this is the moment of truth. Black people are constantly looking for friends. And tell me, what's another name for friend? Ally. Well, family, you've got no friends, as Dr. John Henry Clark taught you, and that's a fact. And as black people start making our strides towards true empowerment, people are letting the masks slip. They're starting to show where they've always stood. Now, some of them are very easy, like this Anna Kasparian woman, but others, they either put up a good front or they flew under the radar. But when you see people who are using the word woke as a pejorative, these are people who are showing where they actually stand, because everybody knows that woke is supposed to be code for black now. No matter what its actual definition was, it came out of the black community, used by the black community in order to express issues that are of interest to the black community. And that being the case, when they say woke, everybody, even on the white left, they know exactly how they're using it. It's a euphemism for black. No matter what the people who claim to dislike wokeness may tell you, the reality is the only things they actually attack as woke are things that have to do with black people. And that's deliberate. When the occasional white pundit on cable talks about the Democrats' need to rein in their own leftist radicals, they're talking about black activists and the demands that they're making. Now, over here in the B1, we're not leftists because we're not wedded to either side of the political spectrum. But when they say left, they mean the people who the Democrats are claiming to speak for. As black people, we've been asserting ourselves, finally, online and in the streets. We've seen this growing anti-black hysteria starting to take hold as a result, and it's been coming largely from the white left and its mouthpieces. People who have been wanting to wag their finger at us for the longest time, but not to be called the racists that they are. They've been looking for a code word, a euphemism for black that they could hide behind. And that's where the white right comes in, trying to co-opt things, like, say, critical race theory and woke. It's useful to the white...
Yeah, like thug. All right, another one, you know. And this is what these devils do. They learn to... I was trying to, while he was speaking, trying to think of this devil's name that he brought that out. He was in the Reagan White House. What was his name? He died in his early 40s of a brain tumor. Damn it. He talked about the Southern strategy. Let me see here if I can pull that up. Let's see. Southern strategy. Maybe it'll come up. All right, let's see. Nixon. Let's see. Because they can't come out and say, you deal with these niggers, so they got to speak in code. Let's see. How the party of Lincoln, it should be in this, won over the once Democratic South. Dixiecrats. All right, because of this devil here. Lyndon Baines Johnson. He made a comment, something to the effect that I'll have them niggers voting Democrat for, was it 200 or 300 years? I can't forget. I forget what exactly it was. Anyway, let's just start up here. The night that Democratic President Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, his special assistant, Bill Moyers, was surprised to find the president looking melancholy in his bedroom. Moyers later wrote that when he asked what was wrong, Johnson replied, "I think we just delivered the South to the Republican Party for a long time to come." It may seem a crude remark to make after such a momentous occasion, but it was also an accurate prediction. To understand some of the reasons, because this goes back, that same year with Barry Goldwater, there, and all of this was, of course, strategies on how to further keep us in the dark and, manage the so-called Negro. At the end of the day, this is what it's all about. To understand some of the reasons the South went from a largely Democratic region to a primarily Republican area today, just follow the decades of debate over racial issues in the United States. And I'm going to hurry this along. I'll post it. You can read it for yourself, but I just wanted to skip because it still has something to do with, here we go, with what we're talking about. Because all these immigrants, they come over here and they immediately get with the people that, are in power. And of course, that's when they join hand in hand with them to, further oppress us. Okay, we go to Harry Truman. I'm going to skip on down. God dang it. I didn't mean to do that. Anyway, that's a good thing to figure because this is this period when there was a switch. He says, up until the post-World War II period, the party's hold on the region was so entrenched that Southern politicians usually couldn't get elected unless they were Democrats. But when President Harry S. Truman, a Democrat Southerner, introduced a pro-civil rights platform at the party's 1948 convention, a faction walked out. These defectors, known as the Dixiecrats, held a separate convention in Birmingham, Alabama. There, they nominated South Carolina Governor Strom Thurmond, a staunch opposer of civil rights, and you must understand, at least this devil here, Strom Thurmond from South Carolina, he had a Well, we all know that the father, you are what your father is, but he had a so-called black child, all right? And in secret, he took care of his responsibilities, and she kept her mouth shut. And up until when he died, I think she was in her 70s, all right? A staunch opposer of civil rights to run for president on their state's rights ticket. Although Thurman lost the election to Truman, he still won over 1 million popular votes. Uh, it says it was for the first time since before the Civil War that the South was not solidly Democratic. All right. Now I'm going to skip on down. Again, you can read this for yourself, but I want to get to here's Nixon. Here it is. The change wasn't total or immediate. During the late 60s and early 70s, white Southerners were still transitioning away from the Democratic Party. Newly enfranchised black Southerners voted and continued to vote Democratic. And even as Republican Richard Nixon employed a Southern strategy that appealed to the racism of Southern white voters, former Alabama Governor George Wallace, who'd wanted segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever, ran as a Democrat in the 72 presidential primaries. And he got shot right up here in I'm in D.C. in Laurel, Maryland. Up here, I believe it was, and he was paralyzed from that devil was in pain from then on. Good for his ass. By the time Reagan came along, the Republican Party's hold on the white Southerners was firm. All right, but that doesn't. Sorry about that. I did all that and still didn't get into what I was wanted to. Damn it. Let's see. Southern strategy. Damn it. Nixon Southern strategy. Oh, what was that guy's name? Let's see. Damn, Southern strategy. Oh, man. Oh, almost had it. Damn it. Yeah, the hatred that these people have for us. But you know what? A lot of Jake don't see it. And in this video, once I go back to it, damn it. Nope. Damn it. Just gonna have to do it this way. Let me see. White House. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. This is, damn it, this is him. I couldn't believe I forgot his name. This is it. Yeah, this asshole right here. Spent all that time. Let's see. Political career. During the 70s and the 1980 election, Atwater rose to prominence in the Southern Republican Party, actively participating in the campaigns of Carroll Campbell and Senator Strom Thurmond, who we just read about, right? And he talks about wedge issues, and then he comes down here. Let's see. Let's skip on down for time's sake. I spent way too much. Southern strategy. Here we go. It says, as a member of the Reagan administration in 81, Atwater gave an anonymous interview to political scientist Alexander B. Lamas. And he skips on down here and he says, Atwater, but Reagan did not have to do a Southern strategy for 2 reasons. Number 1, race was not a dominant issue. And 2, the mainstream issues in this campaign had been, quote, Southern issues since way back in the 60s. So Reagan goes out and campaigns on the issues of economics and of national defense. The whole campaign was devoid of any kind of racism, any kind of reference. And I'll tell you another thing you all need to think about, even surprised me, is the lack of interest, really the lack of knowledge right now in the South among white voters about the Voting Rights Act. And the interview comes on, he says, then Atwater again, he says, as to the whole Southern strategy that Harry S. Dent Sr. and others put together in 68, opposition to the Voting Rights Act would have been a central part of keeping the South. Now, you don't have to do that. All you need to do to keep the South is for Reagan to run in place on the issues that he's campaigned on since 64, and that's fiscal conservatism, balancing the budget, cut taxes, the whole cluster. Questioner. But the fact is, isn't it, that Reagan does get to the Wallace voter and to the racist side of the Wallace voter by doing away with legal services by cutting down on food stamps. Atwater. Y'all don't quote me on this. You start out in 54 by saying nigger, nigger, nigger. By 68, you can't say nigger. That hurts you. Backfires. So you say stuff like forced busing, states' rights, and all that stuff. You're getting so abstract now that you're talking about cutting taxes, and all these things you're talking about are totally economic things, and a byproduct of them is that blacks get hurt worse than whites. So that's what I wanted to, spend all that time. I hope it was worth it to get you to understand this is what these motherfuckers are doing. All right? They speaking a lot of code, so let's continue on.
The white left, who also hate black people and want to maintain the racial status quo. You have never seen both sides of the political spectrum agree on anything. They never use the same language for any issue, except when it comes to us. Then all of a sudden they both agree. They both use the same language, both claiming that there's a common threat. And the threat is always black people. Because the only time they complain about woke is when it's something we're demanding. If you have some white leftists and you want to find out if they're actually a white right-winger in drag, let them see black people making demands. Now, in many cases, these anti-black racists are very easy to spot because they wear their anti-black racism as a badge of honor. Take Sagar and Jetty, for example. This snaggletooth scumbag gets triggered every time black people are mentioned, though if he himself sees an opening to shoehorn us into the conversation, you can count the seconds before he lapses into some BS-laden rant about how anything having to do with black people is bad. He's the kind of racist immigrant that we're talking about.
Again, my disagreement with Coates is Coates believes America as much as an apartheid state as Israel. And that's why I can't stand the guy.
No, he believes that it was under Jim Crow, which is correct.
No, but his essay about the case for reparations makes the case that we effectively still live in an apartheid society, which is insane. And
we still have massive wealth.
That's not the same thing as apartheid. That's what I'm saying, is that he sees moral equivalence between the two, which I think is outrageous for a country that has done more than any other country.
That is not what he articulates in this book, and it's not what he articulates in this interview. But I think he deserves a lot of credit.
Push him on
I think he deserves a lot of credit.
This is the reason why black folks are sour on the idea of immigration at all, because this is who's been coming to the U.S. Instead of buying himself some new teeth, he should have bought himself some new arguments. Recently, he gave his uninformed opinion about Ta-Nehisi Coates and the interview on CBS, where a white host on the show called Coates an anti-Semite and said that his latest book belongs in a terrorist backpack. Now, of course, he tried to use euphemisms for that. He said, instead of anti-Semite, he said, sounds like you don't want the state of Israel to exist at all. And instead of using the word terrorist, instead he used the word extremist backpack. Now, of course, we know backpacks are what terrorists like to put their bombs in. The Boston Marathon bombing, the London Underground bombing. But you know another bombing that comes to mind? Bombing of the King David Hotel in Palestine in 1946, which was carried out by Jewish extremists who planted bombs in that building, killing over 90 people, including 19 Jews. That was something that CBS didn't bring up. I wonder if Ta-Nehisi's book would have been in any of those extremist backpacks. Now, people have been taking Ta-Nehisi Coates' side, and this is yet another example of what I said about the Kamala Harris-Trump debate. When these TV hosts and moderators on what's supposed to be an allegedly objective news program take it upon themselves to attack the subject they're talking to, that will backfire. Even people who don't like Ta-Nehisi...
They go using that word that doesn't exist. You know the one. You're an anti-Semite. There's no such word. All right. David. Because I thought it was 47. Let's see. Here we go. Oh, it was. Okay. I stand corrected. He was right. Why did I say 47? Let's see. See, that's another thing we do here. If we're wrong, we let you know we're wrong. Yeah, 91 people of various nationalities were killed, including Arabs, Britons, and so-called Jews. 46 were injured. Yep, now I want to see. Let's see. Was it Menachem Begin? Who was somebody that was? Let's see. Because I remember the story. Let's see. Background. Getting off on something, but I just want to clear this up because I could have sworn someone that would later become a one of their. Menachem Begin. Here it is. The leaders of Haganah opposed the idea initially. On 1 July 46, Moshe Shna, chief of the Haganah General Headquarters, sent a letter to the then leader of the Irgun, Menachem Begin, who instructed him to carry out the operation at the Chick, code for the King David Hotel. And who was Menachem Begin? He would go on to be, 78. Let's see, sixth prime minister. Okay, yeah, so he was a terrorist. Yeah.
Nehisi Coates have been speaking up for him because of how egregious and blatant these TV Zionist attacks on him have been. You know that I'm no fan of Ta-Nehisi Coates, but the truth of the matter happens to be this was not a good move to make. But this Sagar character, he could care less about Israel at all. His problem was with Ta-Nehisi Coates personally. This guy complained and whined that Coates is responsible for most of the racism in the U.S. today. What? I'm not making that up. That's what he said.
As I literally said, I don't like Ta-Nehisi Coates. I genuinely blame. I think he might be the godfather of a lot of.
See, this is the who the fuck are you? What's going on and what this country has done to us? And what someone like me expresses that, what the fuck does that have to do with you? This is why, for you, Jake, that keep entertaining these pieces of shit, because that's all they are. Oh, my East Indian friend, my Chinese friend, etc., etc. These people are not, at the right opportunity, they out of there. These are not your friends. That's why I started off with Psalms 83rd chapter. All right. And it gives you the hit list. I want to say something else. It's sad, but fortunately, although slowly, a lot of our people, I'm not going to say a lot, but enough to cause these people concern for this election. They're not falling for the same bullshit that they used to, and that scares these people because, hey, that's why I read that Southern Strategy thing. A lot of our people have been on that Democratic plantation for so long. These people just, the niggers, they're going to vote Democrat again. But when they saw, say, wait a minute. And now, in desperation, you see former president come out and scolds, talks to so-called black men like children because they're trying to get this hoe who's trying to pass as one of us, just like Obama did. And a lot of you still act as if he's your Lord and Savior. That's why they let all these immigrants in, and they're trying to push speed up the process of them registering to vote to where maybe a lot of them, it's way too late, but that's my opinion, but to get them so they can vote, to try to offset the losses they're going, because they expected Jake, These people, they from day one, this bastard that's president started letting these people in. Like I said, they always had a backup plan. Continuing on.
Lot of the race problems that we have today. That's not an exaggeration in terms of that essay, The Case for Reparations, single-handedly radical.
Wait a minute. You mean the people who have been oppressing us for generation upon generation have nothing to do with this? It's Nehisi Coates. This is madness.
every white girl on a college campus who eventually ended up working at the New York Times, behest of the BLM movement, of all this other nonsense that we have today. So
he says Ta-Nehisi Coates, he's responsible for most of the racism in the U.S. today. Now, family, this guy is insane to say something like that. He is certifiable. This is not just a boring, uncharismatic fool desperately trying to do a hot take so he can get some attention for the first time in his worthless life. This is an idiot showing everyone he needs to be in a rubber room with a ketamine drip. I cannot believe that I'm actually going to have to take up for Ta-Nehisi Coates, but stupid people make these things necessary. There's a lot of words that can be used to describe Ta-Nehisi Coates, but the one word nobody sane would ever use is influential. There's no university deans anywhere who care what Ta-Nehisi Coates says. No corporate executives either. No governmental figures, no media figures. Ta-Nehisi Coates is a professional bloviator, nothing more. All the people who care about him, the only people who could possibly be jealous of him like this Sagar creep, happen to be the pundit class, the people who make their living slamming their gums. Now, if you're some nobody on the internet who's trying to become some right-wing hero, yeah, when you see Ta-Nehisi Coates getting some shine, you're going to feel some kind of way about that because you know that's a position you'll never be in. And this Sagar character, being an anti-black racist, simply couldn't contain himself from saying what his real gripe...
He's just explaining the difference between what we say and feel about things that affect us. We have no actual power. We're just complaining. But, by contrast, these people that say things concerning us that it can affect policies, all right, it's a big difference.
Gripe was with Ta-Nehisi Coates. He's butthurt about Coates' admittedly empty op-ed piece about reparations. So there you go. You're sitting here talking about black people getting what they're owed, and you got this immigrant here who's mad about that, because as far as he's concerned, America has put a racial pecking order in place that advantages him at least a little bit more than he would back home. As far as he's concerned, you're not supposed to say if there's any...
Which brings up... I just got to ask this question. If you're so smart, what are you doing here? Why aren't you back in your own country trying to improve that situation there?
There's anything wrong with that. But more than that, this Sagar character said what really made him mad about Coates is that he's radicalized a generation of white college women.
That essay, The Case for Reparations, single-handedly radicalized every white girl on a college campus who eventually ended up working at the New York Times.
Now, I don't know what this idiot's definition of radical is. Apparently, it's some white girls on a campus who say that they disagree with segregation or something. To him, that's radical. But the fact that he would say white college women in specific, he didn't say young people, he didn't say college kids, he said specifically white college women. Not college women of color. And this guy's Asian, by the way, though the way he talks, apparently he'd like to be on another team. He said white college women. Now, amazingly, this guy is actually married to a white woman. I guess that just goes to show there's someone for everyone. But apparently he can't be too happy with his wife because he clearly has white college women on the brain. And he's scared that these young, tender white college women that he thinks about so much are listening to this black man. This Sagar character clearly feels very insecure with himself. That makes sense. He has a lot to feel insecure about. See, in his mind, white power has assigned him a higher place in the social hierarchy than black men. This guy is Asian, so in his culture back in India, he's part of a caste system, and he's higher than dark-skinned people on the totem pole, so for him, it's the world turned upside down when he actually has to compete for esteem and standing in women's eyes. And he sees that white power can assign you material goods, but it can't make you more...
Not complicated. Always go back to the basics. Just this motherfucker's just threatened by Jake's manhood. Wow. The basics.
More of a man, and that's what makes him mad. You know, someone might want to keep an eye on this Sagar guy, make sure he's not running around with an AR-15 and a grudge. You know who this guy reminds me of? He reminds me of Mr. Ed, but other than a talking horse, he reminds me of Elliot Rodger, the mass murderer. Rodger was half Asian, his mother was Chinese, but he self-identified as white. So he understood that he wanted that white privilege. His father was a filmmaker who bought him a BMW, but it didn't fool anyone into looking at him and seeing anything masculine. Roger would make video rants where he would complain about his life and how nobody liked him, and people didn't value his existence. But one of the main complaints that he made was that whenever he went to parties, the white girls were only interested in the black guys. The white girls weren't checking for him, they were checking for the black guys instead, and he whined that he had a BMW and he had a comfortable life with his parents, and he thought that he had all of this status because of what his daddy did. But the girls totally ignored that and gravitated to the black guys instead, and that made him furious. What he failed to understand is that a piece of high-priced automotive engineering will never be a substitute for the masculinity you don't have. He failed to understand those white girls knew that he didn't buy that BMW, his father did, and the house he lived in, that was his father's house, not his. He can't tout those as his accomplishments because he didn't do any of that. He wanted to be respected and adored by women for things his father gave to him. And then when the females didn't show him any respect, rather than act like a man, he acted like a punk, started fights at parties, and the black guys were the ones who beat him down and threw him out. Gee, you know who else that reminds me of? Kyle Rittenhouse. You see, he also took it upon himself to beat up some white high school girls, and it was some black classmates who beat him to the ground. And of course, the next thing you know, Rittenhouse was running around with an AR-15 looking for BLM protests that he could go to. This is how those with racial privilege react when they run into real men. Yeah. When racial privilege can't do anything for you. White power can give you a BMW, or in Sagar's case, it can give you admission to universities that you're not qualified for, but it can't make you a man. Sagar has to live with that. The same anti-black racism and self-insecurity and inferiority that drove Elliot Rodger and Kyle Rittenhouse to become mass killers is also the same well that this Sagar character is drawing from. He feels insecure in the presence of black men, and you can tell that he's been carrying this insecurity since his college days, most likely before. Black men make him feel threatened because he knows that white women would prefer any of them over him. And I'll bet that's how it was for him in college. You know, it's no accident that he's talking about college women. That's where his mind is at. That's where his mentality stopped at. That's where his growth stopped at.
I'm just going to put this out there. This is just me. This is kind of like a spin on Montezuma's revenge. You know, they've done everything to present an image of Jake that, you know, and this is going on for generation after generation after generation, because you got to remember the laws back in the mid 1600s were made exclusively for, women of that time preferred Jake, even though Jake was in a lower state, you know, and this is what, not quite 400 years, like 30 or 40 years shy of that. So, you know, this guy is at the end of his, and I'm talking about the guy, I'm talking about this so-called white man at the end of his rope, because people are, you know, he's being exposed for the coward, and the bully, the murderer, the thief that he is. And his buddy over there in the Western Asia, so-called Middle East, is helping to speed the process up, all right, with their shenanigans over there. You know, and it goes back to that Jeremiah 49:20 about the least of the flock, you know, and it's, you know, it's pulling them down, you know, and that's a good thing, but that's prophecy must be fulfilled, all right, and everybody's, I mean, their economy over there, I just got to say this, their economy over there, as a result of this shit that's been going on for over a year now, is all but destroyed. You know, so they have to do something really desperate and stupid here. And again, that's why I brought up that scripture, Jeremiah 49:20. You know, at least the flock will draw them out, and that's what they're doing. But here, all these people, including the ones I just mentioned, everybody is against us. All these curses, these prophecies, they can't get around it. You know, they're coming each and every way they can, you know, trying to retool their doctrine, Christianity, in such a way these Christians are actually trying to get into prophecy now is kind of comical, because they're trying to play catch up, and it's way too late. And in the meantime, you got assholes like this. I'm just thinking of Isaiah 13 chapter and some more. These are all the enemies of the true Israel. And it's beautiful to see them expose themselves like this guy here. What have we as a people done to harm them? That's still the question that nobody wants to answer. All right. See, these people, they come over here, they get these loans, to get them established, and it's done on purpose. And they get to make money off of us in our so-called neighborhoods. But at the end of the day, hey, you got to pay for that. All right. You're going to go down with your benefactor here, the so-called white man. That's all I got to say on this. But I'm on, for the sake of time, I'm just as far as I'm going to go on this, because the point has been made as far as this idiot here. But the next video is they don't understand that you, as a East Indian, as an Elamite, you serve the purpose of a buffer. You and these other nations that the so-called white man props up, you serve as a buffer between us and him. That's all. And when he gets tired of you, he's going to let you know, as in the case of this next video. Oh, this is funny. I like, what's the British say? You get your comeuppance. And this is that one. God dang it. How did I? Hold on. Crap. I can't believe I did that. How in the hell? No, I didn't go that far now. Here it is.
Being a $10,000 plus speaker has nothing to do with actually being good at speaking. I would know. I used to get on stage sweating profusely because I was a she told him to F off.
Ma'am, why were you aggressive to me?
I'm being aggressive to you because too many Indians are in Canada, and I want you to go back.
Okay.
Go back.
But I'm
go
Canadian.
Back to India.
I'm Canadian, ma'am.
Your parents are not Canadian. Your grandma is not Canadian.
So what wrong did I do to you? I'm just trying to understand, what wrong did I do to you?
And that's the question we've been trying to ask. What the fuck do we do to you? Motherfuckers coming over here and you can jump on the bandwagon to help beat us down. Fuck you.
See, what wrong did I do to you?
You hardly speak English.
Je parle français. I speak English as well. I speak French. Est-ce que vous parlez français? Do you speak French?
I do. I speak
On peut
French.
parler en français. Venez, on peut discuter en français si vous voulez. Je suis Canadien. I'm Canadian.
You see what you're dealing with, and you say that we're the problem? Just recently, Moab, the so-called Chinese, they helped the so-called white man do away with affirmative action. And now they're filing a suit after a year of, being on their own. It never fails. That's why I'm laughing. All right? Because you're getting what you deserve.
She told him to F off after clearly his French is much more fluent than hers. I'll put up the picture full mass here. Karen. Karen. You're too damn old to be caught up like this. Okay? We've been here before, Karen. Had this conversation previous. The man in the video.
Ashwin Anamali works as an advocate for housing reform in Ontario. He documented more of his experience on X. So first, he writes, she wrongly assumed I am Indian and I must leave immediately. When I challenged her very politely, she went about her racist rants. She also is upset that there are Black people in the community. She also accuses me of not speaking English and that I need to just leave. It goes on to say this isn't an isolated incident. Such hate-filled encounters have been happening regularly since the beginning of the year. And people seem to be getting more emboldened. I've spoken about the racism faced by international students in our community. And listen, he's doing the right thing. You got to check it. You got to check it. And he was as polite as could be, diffused.
Yeah, who cares? But if you want to watch the rest of that, because I'm thinking of what's this asshole that was running earlier in the presidential race here in the States, whatever you call him, Swami River, whatever the fuck his name is, Vivek something. But anyway, and he got told straight to his face by Ann Coulter, I think it was, in an interview, and he was talking about, there's no racism here in America and all that shit. And, it's pieces of shit like this. And again, he got his come up. She should have saw his face when she told him, well, I wouldn't vote for you because you're not white. And all the time he was, I just love it when shit like this happens. I really do. I love it. I love it. I love it. Again, this bastard is being exposed. His wicked ass system, all right, is being exposed. And it's being pulled down. And I must say, we're helping it right along. All right. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 4 and 5, pulling down these strongholds, which are these lies and, and the imaginations against Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, first and foremost. Because this place is backwards. It's anti-Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right. This place got to go, and it is going. More quickly, I might add. So that's going to be it on this. Like I said, at the end of the day, this devil is getting his just desserts. It's beautiful to see. It is a beautiful time indeed to be alive. Sirach 25 and 7. To see the downfall of our enemy. All right, so with that, until the next video, and once again, to remind you of the power of prayer and fasting. So with that, shalom.